what their team does, how they help employers, and how you can get connected. And then once they share that information, I will also talk about some of the employer incentives to hire those that have barriers to employment, such as a criminal background, and maybe just a couple suggestions for employers on how to participate in our partnership of hiring returning citizens. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Victor and Martha. They are both business engagement consultants within our agency. So Martha, Victor, if you want to do a little intro and then go right into your slides, I'll just advance them for you as you're ready to go to the next one.
All right. Well, thank you, and thank you for having us here. I'm Victor Ochoa. I'm the business engagement consultant for Northeast Iowa. I've actually have over 15 years of experience in human resources. I've actually been with the agency now for over 6 years, and I have experience in both unemployment, reemployment, and business connections. Really, the job of the business engagement division here at Iowa Workforce Development is really to be a one-stop shop where employers can actually find solutions regardless of where you're at in the business cycle. I always like to remind everyone that we're not a staffing agency. Everything that we do here for you is 100% at no charge to the employer. Only thing you got to do is really pick up the phone, talk to me. Literally, it's on my business, it's on my job title. I'm a consultant. I'm here to listen and to help you throughout the workforce. Now I'm gonna hand it over to Martha so she can tell us about herself.
Hi, my name is Martha Garcia-Tappa. I'm a business engagement consultant here at Iowa Workforce Development and been here a little over, well, going on 7 years. And I have the eastern part of the state. Basically everything Victor said, he took the whole run with it. And we help employers strategically in the recruitment area in hopes of getting the right candidates for them. And we work as a team across the state to basically, get employers their strategic, recruitment. So we're excited, and we're excited to be with you today. Victor?
All right, can we go to the next slide? Thank you so much. Continuing on what we were talking about, that pretty much the business engagement division is a one-stop shop for all of your needs. So whether you develop, expand, consolidate your business, we have the tools available throughout the business cycle. Whether you're just starting out with one person or whether you're a mega facility with over 1,000 employees, we are here to help you. Literally, our experts are here to actually provide one-on-one assistance on any of your questions, whether you're looking for help with recruiting, tax credits, hire employees, customized training opportunities, all detailed information about the labor market. That's what we're here to do. Next slide.
And recruitment assistance is the big part of the job. And IowaWorks.gov is Iowa's largest job bank that we help facilitate with employers. We help them get the accounts and get them acclimated with the system where you could post jobs, review resumes of potential candidates. And we connect with the National Labor Exchange where they distribute active, unduplicated jobs postings that are refreshed daily. So it is really nice to have that where your jobs can be posted nationally as well. Other recruitment assistance that we provide, we have hiring events, and whether it be in the American Job Centers or the Iowa Works sites, we also can go to your facilities to help you with recruitment. We're part of all the career expos where we are asked to participate and give a little information about what we do. And we participate with this big thing is current social media to help with getting those jobs out there and letting folks know that companies are hiring. And of course, we have the job boards that we can also facilitate. And I just noticed we need to fast forward, Shelley, the next slide. The job boards that are currently in our facilities that help candidates that come in that are looking. And again, we constantly remind people that we are not an employment agency, an unemployment agency. We are an employment agency that we do not charge for these services. And so we're excited that we have various ways to help get those job postings out there and get people to know that your company is hiring. Next slide. And one of the things that we talk with employers quite a bit is how do we diversify workforce? What are the opportunities out there that may not come to mind right away? And one of them is the Iowa vocational rehabilitation services that are offered. In this employment program, individuals who experience a disability are assisted with helping, we help them find jobs. And sometimes, that individual would need assistance in helping find that job, and we prepare them and obtain and retain and advance them to that job. Our dislocated worker program is also one that we think outside of the box. It is designed to help individuals reenter the workforce after becoming dislocated from employment at no fault to them. And then we work closely with our community for the immigration and refugee programs and help place folks and become self-sufficient when they get to our communities. And of course, our veterans, IWD strives to assist veterans who have served our country by connecting them to jobs, and of course, the returning citizens. Next slide.
There we go. It always helps if you actually unmute yourself when you're trying to click the unmute button. Anyway, sorry about that. So did you know that actually over 80% of our veterans possess skills that are immediately transferable to the workforce? Iowa and Iowa Workforce Development, by extension, we're committed to providing quality employment and training services to our military veterans and transitioning service members. And of course, don't forget, it's not just a service member, it's also their family and their spouse. All of the services that we have available are always available through the America Jobs Centers. We call them the AJC in our acronyms. Or, I'm about to date myself here, the Iowa Job Service or the Unemployment Eye. I don't like talking about us as the unemployment office or job service, because really what we're here to do is reemployment and helping everyone connect to their needs, no matter who you are. Concentrating on the veteran programs, really what we want to do is connect our veterans with our community and with our employers. The reason why we created the Home-Based Iowa program is actually to provide our veterans and transitioning service members and their families opportunities and benefits for a successful transition into Iowa. If you've ever been driving down the highway, you're actually going to see this big, huge signs that says such and such county is an HBI community. In my case, I live in Jackson County, but I work here in Dubuque. As I'm coming into Dubuque or going back to Jackson County, I see the big HBI logo saying, this is a home-based Iowa community. Home-based Iowa communities are a partnership of both public and private, such partnerships saying, hey, here we are, we pledge to employ so many veterans. We pledge to provide this priority of service to our veterans and our transitioning service members. Our local veteran employment representatives are really your connection between you, the employer, and of course, our veterans. Our LEVER, Local Veteran Employment Services, pretty much they conduct outreach to employers and businesses to engage in advocacy efforts with hiring and maintaining those people. Part of the program is going to be something like encouraging the hiring of our regular veterans as well as our disabled veterans. If you are a disabled veteran, we have dedicated team members who only do connecting our disabled veterans with our employers. It is their job. It is my job to actually connect you with that workforce because it is an untapped workforce. When we think about it, 8 out of 10 of our returning service members, they have skills. You don't have to train them. They are skilled. They know what to do. They're just looking for the opportunity. Next slide. Our additional training programs here through Iowa Workforce Development, we have the Iowa Jobs Training Program, which actually provides services to current employees of eligible services and eligible employers. Really, the Iowa Jobs Training Programs helps connect companies to train employees with new skills. Also, if you are an eligible business, you're able to work one-on-one with your local community college, which can actually assess all of your training needs, determine funds available, and provide training. And again, we're a state agency. A lot of the services that we have are available to little and no cost. The work-based learning programs are really provide structured activities and services utilizing the partnerships between industry education to to engage in student learning. When I talk about work-based learnings, it's really creating a pipeline for all the way from the high schools over to your business. Just a couple weeks ago, I was actually at one of my area high schools, and we were doing interviews with high school seniors. These guys are going to graduate high school with a 2-year degree. They are certified welders, certified auto mechanics, and they're coming out of high school with a degree, with certificate. It's 100% transferable, and they're going straight into the workforce. I'm looking at these guys, and they're 17, 18-year-olds, and they're about to go into jobs making $20, $25 an hour. And they were able to do this through the work-based learning program. This also ties into our registered apprenticeship programs. The registered apprenticeship programs are really a valuable model that employers can use to recruit and develop well-trained workers in highly skilled education. If you think about it, if you have an employee that you don't want to lose, you can actually upskill them, help them train new skills so they can actually be a more productive employee. And because you train them, you're going to be able to better retain them. In addition to our RA programs, we have the Employers Council of Iowa. ECI, the Employers Council of Iowa, really is an advisory group that offers no-cost memberships open to all businesses throughout the state and in the community. And really, the purpose of ECI is to actually guide our workforce and help develop a business focus. And all of the training opportunities through ECI are actually at no cost to you. Only thing you have to do is sign up. So, for example, coming up on the 25th of this month in our Cedar Rapids office, we have a Fair Chance job fair in which we're actually connecting employers that are willing to give our justice-involved citizens a chance with justice-involved individuals. And in that program, we're even going to be having an expungement clinic. So if you think about it this way, you as the employer, if you're looking to recruit employees, you're going to come over to this event. You're going to have people that you know are looking for work, people that are looking for a second opportunity, and we're also going to provide them for the resources so they can actually help them with the expungement of their criminal record. Next slide. So now talking about our business sector partnerships. Our sector partnerships are really regional groups designed to pull community and business leaders together to identify the needs of that specific area and actually provide them with, if we need training, if we need recruitment assistance, so we can actually work together as the state with local employers and local agencies to actually develop career pathways for both our job seekers and so the employer can actually have a training program available for them. The labor market information side of IWD is really the primary resource for labor force data. It actually has data, statistics, research, and really go in depth into the labor pool and our local economy. So for example, let's say that you're going to be bringing in a new account and you want to know how much you should actually pay them. Call me and I'll get you set up with the LMI website. Of course, the LMI website is readily available for you. Sometimes there are so many tools in there that you might require some additional hand trying to find this specific occupation. That's where we come in. Pick up the phone, call me, and we can get you connected with that resource. Because if you want to know how much an accountant is getting paid in Clayton County, that accountant is going to have a different pay scale between Clayton County and possibly Des Moines. We can help you actually maneuver that. Within the LMI website, you can even see the employment trends, see who's hiring, what's going up, what's going down, and it'll even show you the local unemployment rate. And how does that affect you? Well, I'm going to pick on one of my counties over here in Northeast Iowa. In that specific county, the unemployment rate right now is 2.5%. Well, the population of my county is only 10,000 people. The workforce of my county is about 5,000 people. So in this specific county, on unemployment, right now, I only have 200 people collecting unemployment, which actually, this is not even talking about those that are on seasonal layoff. So 280 people for a whole Iowa county, and that includes the people that can't work right now because of our storms and because of our weather. So if you narrow it down in this specific region, you might actually only have about 50 people that are truly unemployed. And that's why I'm passionate about what we talk about, because it's my job to connect you with at least those people or connect you with resources that will actually help you land that employee and maintain that employee. Part of the all-in-one process of Iowa Workforce Development Business Engagement, we do offer transition and layoff aversion. part of the transition and the layoff aversion is if you know you're coming in to a downturn, if it's going to be an economic challenge, and you think that you might have to lay off some of your employees. Of course, we know we don't want that. You don't want to lose a skilled member of your workforce, and that's where these programs come in. One of them, which is actually my favorite, is called voluntary shared work. What the voluntary shared work program does is we will actually do all of the heavy lifting for unemployment for you. So if you actually have reduced hours for a specific workforce, we can actually do all of that work for you. Let's say they normally work 40 hours a week. And now you know that for the next 3 months, they're going to be down to only 24 hours a week. Before you lay them off, contact us so we can get the ball rolling on the voluntary shared work program. What that will do is actually your employees can keep on working their 24, 30 hours. And then we'll use the unemployment system to actually help them and actually pay them a little bit of unemployment on the side to help leverage their wages and help them through that transition. Because right now, unemployment, it is a lot of work for both the employee and the job seeker, the employee, and of course, you, the employer. With the VSW program, you only have to fill out a spreadsheet, let us know how many hours they work, and Iowa Workforce Development will take care of all of the end. And of course, if all of our efforts fail and you do end up having to go into transition and possibly lay off some of your employees, if you're considering a major layoff or plant closing, our IWD dislocated worker program can help guide you through that difficult time, and we can actually help you with one-on-one services to get that workforce going. For example, right now up here in Northeast Iowa, I have a company that is going to be laying off 30 people. Going over DOL laws that says, hey, if you're laying off more than 50 people, you have to follow these steps. Well, over here it's only 30. They don't have to do that. However, they're still connected to us, and we know ahead of time that they're going to be laying off 30 people. So in the time leading up to their layoff, we have been able to go out there and provide one-on-one services and counseling to the job seekers, get them signed up, help them get signed up with unemployment, help them get signed up with our dislocated program, help them get signed up with possibly additional schooling. Because if you do end up being a dislocated worker, there are funds available to help you with training and resources. So if you're at that fork in the road and you don't know what you want to do, that's where we come in. I'm a huge proponent of the dislocated worker program because I've benefited from it. I worked for a company doing human resources for over 15 years. The company was bought out and we ended up losing our jobs. So what happened is, as I was actually a dislocated worker, Iowa Workforce Development helped me go back to school, and they gave me the training resources so I could actually focus on a different career. So I went from getting a degree in actually aviation is where I went to. They helped me get my accounting degree through the dislocated worker program. So I always encourage, connect with us so we can actually help either maintain your workforce or help you in the next step. Next slide.
So now we're going to talk about our strategic partners. Our Iowa Works American Job Centers are our major partner. They're across the state and provide critical services for individuals and businesses in pursuit of their workforce goals. The American Job Centers, each office serves, as Victor mentioned, a one-stop shop created to provide universal access to employment services, both for our clients walking in and our employers needing assistance. Our local workforce boards are also an intricate part, as many of our employers that serve on those boards help direct what we're doing with our local workforce and our strategic planning. Our community colleges are very vital in the process too, because we work with them for a lot of the educational opportunities and the grants that could come forth, and they could provide training for their facilities in manufacturing, healthcare. So they are an intricate part of our strategic partnerships. And of course, our economic development organizations, we work closely with, for example, our chambers, economic alliances that bring us the information before possibly any company arrives here in our areas, to strategically plan how we're going to recruit employees. I'll use Amazon as an example, a huge facility that came into Davenport, working way before the facility was built, because we knew they were going to need employees quickly, and how we were going to do that, whether we did them through our hiring events, had on-site hiring events. We worked closely with that massive company, and they needed 2,000 employees, and they made it very clear that once they opened, they needed them ASAP. So our economic development organizations play a vital role when new companies are coming in, as well as the companies that are here. And we meet with the groups, and employers are always very vocal about how we can help facilitate a lot of these recruitment and resources for them to be successful in our regions.
Okay, thank you very much, Victor and Martha. That was wonderful information. Hopefully we'll have some questions here as I wrap up this presentation. So I wanted to talk a little bit, you heard Victor mention the employer incentives. So we have a few incentives that we use to help employers basically move the needle in some hiring, trying to hire people that have barriers to employment. So the federal bonding program is the first incentive. It's a fidelity bond that's issued. So basically it's a business insurance policy, is how you can think of that. And it's, again, used to mitigate some of that risk in hiring someone who might be what they consider a risky hire. There's many ways to qualify for this program. What I like best about this program, even though it is a federal program through the Department of Labor, it's completely free. There's no red tape or anything. It's all computerized. So the employer just calls me and we issue the bond directly to the employer. I can tell you in Iowa, being the coordinator, 99% of the time that I'm issuing a fidelity bond, it is for someone who does have a criminal history. So this is a program that when it is utilized by employers, the number one reason is because they're hiring someone that has a criminal history. And it's going to protect against loss of money or property, basically due to employee theft or dishonesty. Excuse me. The work opportunity tax credit, you probably heard of that, called WOTC. This one kind of is the most recognized one that employers are familiar with. Again, it's a federal program, and it's a federal tax credit that's available if they hire job seekers that we consider to have significant barriers to employment, and it can reduce their tax liability. So there's a couple different forms that they have to fill out, and this credit does have to be submitted to our agency within 28 days of that employee's start date. So here's some of the target groups that basically WOTC covers. It's going to cover veterans. You see there's different layers of categories there. Long-term temporary assistance for needy family recipients, also short-term, people that are on this recipient of SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Referrals from Voc Rehab. You heard Martha talk about vocational rehabilitation services and how they're our core partner. We work closely with them. So any referrals that come through there. And those that are on SSI, the Supplemental Security Income, if they're on that benefit, they qualify. And then we have designated basically rural counties. So those are counties, rural area where there's been a population decline during specific 5-year periods. I believe there's 29 of those. And then qualified long-term unemployment recipients. We do have an ex-felon certification. That one is specifically for someone who's been convicted of a felony in the last 12 months, or if they've been released from incarceration on a felony conviction in the last 12 months. So that could actually be someone who was convicted of that felony, maybe 5-10 years ago, and they're just now getting released from prison on that incarceration. And then that credit will start the 12 months for them that they will be eligible for employers to claim that credit. Some more about WOTC, basically relatives and dependents of the employer, former employees and majority owners of the business, they're not going to qualify for obvious insurance reasons. Wages include all wages paid to the employee, so they have to be paying the FUTA taxes as the employer, and it can't be third party. So if you're an employer and say you onboard a new employee, maybe you send them to a different agency for 4 weeks of training, those wages would not be covered because you are not paying the wages directly to them. And then the IRS and employers tax preparer, basically those are going to be the ones that determine what that credit is going to be. I can tell you as an employer, when you do submit for the WOTC credit, our agency will certify you for the highest level of credit. So for example, if you submit one saying you've hired someone under the ex-felon certification that's convicted of that felony, but then when we get the paperwork and we're able to see that perhaps they are a veteran that's been unemployed for a long period of time, we would give you that higher level of credit based on what we're able to prove and what documentation you support with it. So the preferred method for submitting applications is online. There's an email address there that you can reach out and ask questions, and a phone number. Also, sometimes we need that supporting documentation. So that's a good way to get that to us as well. So that was a federal credit. This one is a state tax benefit. So it's for Iowa employers who are hiring ex-offenders specifically. So this one is attached to Iowa code. It's going to be able to qualify for deduction of 65% of their wages in the first 12 months of employment. So the max deduction on that's going to be $20,000 per employee. As the employer, you can use this with the WOTC program. You can use this with a federal bonding program. You can use them all together or separately, whatever makes sense for you. And of course, whatever they qualify for as the job seeker. You'll see on this one, it's not as restrictive as the federal tax credit. So they can be convicted of a felony in any state or District of Columbia. They can be on parole or probation for an offense that's higher than a simple misdemeanor. So in our state, a simple misdemeanor is the lowest level of criminal offense. So a serious misdemeanor, an aggravated misdemeanor, or a felony, any of those levels of conviction would qualify. If they're in a work release program currently, maybe they're still incarcerated. We do have employers that hire men and women that are incarcerated and they leave the institution, they work their shift and they come back to the institution. So those employers are allowed to use this credit if they qualify on their gross annual number. And it's also for people who are under the interstate compact. So people that may be serving time for another state, but they're living with us and we're supervising them in our state. No restrictions, full-time, part-time, any age. This again is attached to Iowa code. So this is geared toward smaller businesses that have a gross of $3 million a year or less. And to get this credit, basically, it's just checked on the 1040. Again, when the business person does the employer taxes, and they can note that they have other deductions and cite that as well. Okay, so before we move into questions, just a couple things to wrap up here. So I manage our state's Returning Citizen Initiative. So we do have reentry career planners in 6 of Iowa's 9 prisons. There's about 8,500 men and women incarcerated in our state. So what my staff do and the program does is work with men and women who are incarcerated to get them job ready. So all of the things needed for employment, making sure they know where those important documents are, building resumes, talking about soft skills, maybe some of the workshops that Victor talked about. And then lots of networking with employers, challenging employers to maybe look at their hiring practices. What are they currently? Are they inclusive or are they restrictive? We talk a lot about relevance. Of course, it's the employer's decision if they want to hire people that have a criminal history, but we try to just have that conversation, of what the criminal history is and what they're able to work with as far as their business setup and layout of things in the workplace. So I would encourage employers to partner with our program. Again, it's called the Returning Citizen Initiative. I can put you in contact with our reentry career planners that are working in those prisons. Again, just to kind of build a partnership that's very informal. There's no requirements other than, just a conversation and maybe your willingness to be open to talk about what that looks like of hiring someone coming out of prison. And then basically, again, just that network piece is really important to us. So if you're employers and you want to get connected, I would love for you to reach out to Victor or Martha. If you specifically have questions about hiring people out of incarcerations or the criminal history, what that looks like, how to get started, definitely reach out to me. We'd love to have the conversation. Of course, we know that, men and women out of prison, employment is going to drastically increase their chances of being successful and not returning into incarceration. So, but okay, so I think that's it for our presentation. I will stop sharing my screen and yeah.
Shelley, are you there?
Yes.
Shelley,
Yes,
I saw a couple questions in the, I wanted to address a couple questions in the chat. One of them particularly regarding what are BECs doing out there. A part of our presentation is what you presented, but a little bit more condensed, because we do talk about the WOTC program. We do talk about opportunities to think outside the line strategically, especially our manufacturers. We work closely with Uniparts Olson locally, where they have come in and talked to our OWDS and myself. What can they do to recruit these people? Because there are some areas where a workforce, they're hurting for workforce. So in regards to that question, we work closely with our person here, a career planner, when that question does arise, because when we present the diversifying the workforce, that is part of it, letting people know that this is also available to them and we can help make that happen. So it is a big part of our discussion when we talk about it. I know that you presented the presentation on it, but we do that on a daily basis when we meet with employers. And then the other question was promoting hiring and reentry. For example, we take pride every year during this month. Lulu is our person here, and we work in marketing and promoting it through our local media, through our social media. This big event brings everyone together. We have mock interviews and invite employers to come in to kind of have a face-to-face with some of these folks that have been incarcerated. So we're actively promoting this program because, like I said, when we think about diversifying workforce, this is a big, big part of what we do as well.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that work that you do. So yes, that was kind of one of the questions in the chat. Martha covered that. Another one is, how do incarcerated individuals give potential employers the bonding and WOTC info? Is there something they should be doing upon release or before release? So if they are at a site that has a reentry career planner there and they're working with them and they're connected, then they will get that information before they release. If they're not at a site, then they can certainly contact me. I think we kind of have some of that information out there in the institutions and the areas where they have like a resource library to kind of get that information. I think I've been in this role almost 6 years, and I think, when I came into this role, it was an opportunity to kind of have a fresh set of eyes and see how we could ramp up this program and educate more people. And with my background being in the Department of Corrections, that was my first light bulb moment, is why aren't we telling people that are incarcerated about these incentives and benefits so they can kind of use them as a tool to help market, when they get out, hire me, I can be a good hire. And by the way, there's these incentives that you could get by hiring me. So we've really done a good job, I feel, as an agency in educating also the job seeker that's incarcerated, as well as the employers. Another question, a lot of employers have WOTC questions within the online application. So include qualifying questions. So there is, for questions on the work opportunity tax credit on our website, there is a tab where employers can go and get that information. There's actually like an email box that it will drop a note to our WOTC coordinator, Carolyn, and she can respond to specific questions. I talk about it anytime I'm talking about the bonding program or the state tax credit. I always talk about the federal tax credit. I think they make sense. And I think it's a great opportunity for employers to use all of those together with hires. But I'm not the program coordinator for that. So specifics of those specific questions of that program, we do ask that you use the information on our website to reach out to the coordinator. Do the WOTC and federal bonding cover sex offenders too? Yeah, that's a great question. So they both do. Again, the bonding is issued directly to the employer. So a requirement for that is that the person have a job offer, and then we issue the bond to the employer. And as far as the WOTC, the legislation reads that basically if they're convicted of that felony within that 12-month window or released from prison in that 12-month window, so they absolutely would be eligible for an employer to claim that tax credit on them. And just a comment from Randy at St. Vincent de Paul that we do a good job of getting folks ready for release. Another question here, let's see. Inside Out used to be allowed inside prisons for workshops alongside IWD, wanting to know if that could be started again soon. Yeah, Zach, I definitely encourage you to reach out to DOC Central Office. I know, as they continue to manage things, and the pandemic seems so far behind us, but really it's not, right, in that environment where there's so many people together in one space. So I know constantly looking at ways just to mitigate sickness getting in the prisons. And I think that kind of will be some follow-up as as DOC gets more of the programs kind of back in the prisons. I know it's a slow process, but they are working on that. So definitely reach out to them and see if that's something that could be accomplished. Let's see if we have some more questions. These are all great questions. Thank you so much. Yes, and so Jen had commented that yes, Katrina Carter at Central Office for DOC, she could be a good resource to start with and ask that question. Do we have any other final questions or thoughts about this presentation? Again, I hope that you are able to learn a little bit more about the business engagement team. I think that was a great presentation. I learned a couple things that I hadn't known before. So I do appreciate, again, the information and your presenting for us today. So we've got a few more minutes left. I think we can go ahead and take a break. That was our last breakout session for day 2 of our conference. We do have our second keynote speaker that's going to start at 11, and he is from the Innocence Project. So hopefully you have some time to join us at 11, and we will hear from that gentleman. So we'll go ahead and take a break, and we'll see you back at 11.